Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. It's now time for newspaper review.
All right, Chukwudi Baja is right here in the studio, and I'm glad today he's on my side because we talked about football just before we came right on air. But I want to keep that on hold and quickly begin to review what's on the papers today because we have quite a number of issues. Chukwudi, good to have you with us.
How are you? The only football that can be talked today is Finidi George. Against South Africa.
No,
It's not clear.
I really don't know how I feel, but not happy with the result of Man U and Tottenham yesterday. But be that as it may, Chelsea is still Chelsea. Man City. Sorry, Man City.
That's why you would not.
Be that as it may. Chelsea will never. Chelsea is way down.
You just listen to Stamford Bridge protestation.
Yeah.
I don't make a review newspaper.
You are alone here.
You are going nowhere.
You are a loner.
You guys are going nowhere.
Don't worry. Time will tell. All right. So, do you want to start, or I should start?
No, you start.
Okay. Let me start. Let me start with the new Telegraph paper, and it's leading with another academic disruption looms. ASU gives FG 2 weeks to reconstitute councils and meet other demands, says Nigeria's education budget lowest in West Africa. And just below the picture story, Tinubu, Shatima, VIPs, others to pay airport tolls, parking fees. That's FEC. OK's plans to fund infrastructure housing with 20 trillion naira pension funds. Others approves 97.3 billion naira for projects in FCT, sets a panel to expedite visa issuance process. And let me also look at other stories trending here. And President Tinubu excited as Nigeria gains additional 200 nautical miles on extended continental shelf. That story is just above the lead story. And of course, we have alleged 19 billion naira fraud. Surika's absence stalls arraignment. And on the insecurity side, headers kill pregnant woman, 10 others in Benue. Okay, let me quickly stop with this. There's a lead story. There's a story just above the nameplate. World Bank private sector injects $133 million into Nigeria's infrastructure. And a quick look at the blueprint now. The blueprint leads with shift from presidential system. Obasanjo backs reps group, advocates Afro-democracy. Says Western liberal democracy has failed its originators. Group gets 500 essays from Nigerian students, holds national discourse July 1. And terrorists sack 50 communities, abduct hundreds in Zamfara. Kill 3, kidnap pastor wife, others in Niger community. And of course, the story on the airport access fee is also trending. And minister rejects speaker's plan to marry off 100 Niger girls. Lawmaker kicks. That's a story on an earpiece actually on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper. And FEC officially suspends cyber security levy to review policy. Demola.
Well, okay, I have the leadership newspaper, and above the nameplate, the FCTA to demolish another 500 illegal structures. Details on page 17. Protest in Kaduna over Chibok and Dakshi girls. We have the details on page 12. And below the nameplates, we have despite PIA, petrol import monopoly persists as forest crisis for street marketers. The details of that story can be found on page 6. 80 residents missing after bandit attack Katsina community. Details of that story, it's on page 7. And the major headline is the airport access fees. No more VIPs. Everybody must pay, federal government declares. Details of that story can be found on page 6. Buni appoints late emir of Tikau's son as successor. Details on page 18. Iswa founder's son surrenders in Bono. Details on page 18. There, the ASU issues fresh ultimatum over Varsity Governing Council, and federal government bows to pressure, suspends cyber security levy. Well, let me just stop there. Chooks, over to you.
Demola, let me quickly say that how many did you say were abducted in Zamfara again? Whatever the number is.
Yes, I
saw a program on a TV station 3 days ago that
50.
sank my heart. The people there was a man from Interpol there, Shinkafi, who was in charge of prosecution of, arrested bandits and Boko Haram people there in Zamfara, was on the program. The kind of things they said sent a chill down my spine. For the Interpol man to say that the real problem is that Nigerians are no longer patriotic or God-fearing. For a man who is charged with enforcing law to go the spiritual way, it didn't make me a happy man at all. Called Zamfara the hotbed of everything concerning banditry, said there are up to 30,000 bandits there in the Zamfara, and they all have their territories. We need to work on this. I wasn't happy at all when I saw that. I was a sad man.
Chukwudi, I think it was either 2016 or 2017 when the immediate past Chief of Defense Staff, made a speech, and it talked about how our military had, decimated the insurgents. In fact, in his words, we've won the war, but he also said, there is still need to win the hearts and minds of the people.
That is the non-kinetic aspect of it, which Shinkafi stressed on that program.
Yes, and true, the civilian military arm of the military is trying quite a lot.
Okay.
And I can assure you.
Well, I'm happy you have that knowledge.
Yes, I have that knowledge and I know that. And they do, have this interaction with different, stakeholders in different parts of the state. And
whatever it takes.
Yes, and I've attended one. So yes. they are trying, but we also individually, we must also, reorientate ourselves to know that this is our country.
That's where the Interpol man came in. That's where he came in. He said Nigerians do not show enough patriotism. So how do we neither are we God-fearing anymore.
So how do we begin to now change the orientation of these people that are involved in this banditry?
It's not just the people. See something, say something. The fact that it is missing from the scene is also a big problem. So we, not Demola and Chukwudi necessarily, but people in the theater of the operation and all that, they need to cooperate more with the security agencies because their life is almost hanging up there.
I think they need to cooperate, but most of them, most of them are living in fears as well.
I know, I know.
Demola.
Because some of them, they are like feeders to those bandits, you understand? They will go and tell them, look, this was the person that reported you, you understand, that kind of a thing, and their life will be in danger. But there is a need for a reorientation. There is a need for the people getting, well engaged in doing, something. Because
that's where I'm going.
The problem right now is when the majority of them do not have anything to do. Idle hands is the devil's workshop.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. But they can't stay in that tepid state of not saying something they have seen. Because it means that the disaster happening there will continue on and on. Something has to give. Whichever way they do it, they have to come out of that tepidity. Yes, ma'am.
For instance, you have 100 girls who are orphans, rather than, find a way of putting these orphans to school, giving them education. Education is power.
Yes. If you want to marry them out.
You want to marry them out. You marry them out to who?
When I heard that on radio as I was driving down, I didn't know what to think. What it means is that you are casting the life of each of those girls involved into more uncertainty.
Yes. Because
they may be marrying people who are not fit to be married. I'm sorry, I'm not saying anybody's subhuman. But if a man cannot feed himself enough and you give him a woman to look after, you are leading the woman into further,
I just think it's
that is the
transferring
point.
Your burden to another.
Yes.
You are their representatives. You are the representatives of these orphans within this community.
Can this be attributed to their culture?
No, it's not. It's not cultural.
It's not about.
No. Please,
it's not
let's be careful when we talk about culture.
Would that be cultural?
Let's make it attitude, please, so that we don't seem to be criticizing the way of life of the people of Nigeria. But attitude is very much part of it. Some are going to tell you, no, it's our culture to do that and all that. No. One of the things Sanusi was on about when he was still Emir of Kano was, look, you don't tell me you want to marry 4 wives when you can't look after one. He's a Muslim, but he had to say that at a point. He's not kicking against the institutions of Islam. He can't, because Islam is solidly there. But he's talking about social implications. And that is something people need to consider.
The angle,
you understand?
The angle the public is looking at this is the angle of consent.
Very important.
Preparedness. Because these guys, and their ages.
Preparedness, mental disposition towards marriage. Many marriages are suffering today because people were not mentally ready. They had the cash to invite Demola and Chukwudi to come and drink and wine. But after that,
what happens?
They didn't begin the journey where the man eventually turns her into my sister after 10 or 15 years.
All right.
Anyway, let's look at this airport access fees. No more VIPs. Everybody must pay. Federal government declares.
Oh, well, I'm not, that doesn't lift my eyebrows at all because that's how it should have been. Part of the problem in this country is unnecessarily patronage that we dish out to people who can afford actually to pay the fees. We are making them, giving them opportunity to escape.
Just like the minister said yesterday.
It doesn't make
sense. He said the people who can afford to pay the fees
are not paying.
Are not the one paying. But the people who cannot afford to pay, they are the one paying. It doesn't make
sense. It's abuse of office.
Someone also raised an issue which I found interesting also. And she said, so how do you get the presidential convoy, racing through the toll gates to stop and then bring out 200 naira? Is that feasible?
It is very, very feasible.
It is.
Very, very.
They would have done that. I mean, the protocol would have done.
Let me tell you, Claire,
before.
that race sometimes is not necessary. That race sometimes it's not necessary. Somebody told me that a South African minister may not even see more than 6 people in a day because attention is removed from him so much. Bureaucracy handles most of the things. If you vest too much attention in the wrong quarters, you're going to distort society over time and space.
There was one particular president in Africa that I was reading about. He said he doesn't want any of this protocol any longer. And when he goes, he just wants to go alone. I've forgotten the country now. He just wants to go alone, carry his own bag, and go to the airport and just sail.
An innocent man fears no accusation.
Before we let you go,
I'm not saying that we don't deserve security detail for her. That's not what I'm saying, please. But sometimes we overdo it.
Yeah, that's
before we let you go, we're talking about racing, and I will always remember this, and I know you remember. I don't know if Demola remembers. It used to be one of the very popular jingles in those days on radio. The highway is not a racetrack.
Yes.
Remember those you left at home are waiting to welcome.
People will tell you, go come. Supposed to tell you, welcome back.
Listen to this. Listen to this, High Chief. This is a cartoon. Don't stop dancing, but ensure you work. Obasanjo tells, guess who?
Of course,
how would I know?
States now.
Do I look like Do I look like a wizard? It's Adeleke.
It's Adeleke now.
They have a good day.
You guys have a good day too.
So we just...
Yes, let's take a short break.
Okay. I was going to say draw the curtain now.